Gender is a horrible restaurant with only 2 specials, and they assume your order the first time you walk through the door. They feel so extremely confident in their ability to guess what meal you'd like that they start making it before you've even found your seat, just by looking at you. Assigned entree at breakfast. When the wait staff first seats you, they tell you what you will be having and they expect you to like it. They'll shove it down your throat whether you want it or not. You see, when there's only 2 specials, it's easier on the kitchen. They can compartmentalize tasks and make all the components in advance. They say it's more efficient this way, but, gotta maximize those profits. Who cares if it's healthy? If we add enough filler, they'll believe it's fulfilling, or at least they'll feel full. Gender is a horrible restaurant, where diners anxiously ask the waitstaff for modifications and substitutions to their assigned meal before they can even eat it. They'll take the special ordered for them, but hold the dressing. They only put it on for special occasions and when Grandma comes for dinner. Of course, people customize their special with the few small choices they are asked to make for themselves. What kind of drink would you like today? May I interest you in a cup of coffee, or are you more of an LGBT person? What I'm saying is, fries or a side salad. Appetizers for the table? If you're very sweet, they might roll over the dessert cart. If absolutely gastronomically necessary, your assigned special can also be made vegetarian, vegan, low-carb, keto, raw, dairy and/or nut and/or sugar and/or gluten-free. The wait staff will oblige these modifications within reason, but they are also very busy, overworked, and definitely not unionized. If you bother them with too many specifications, they might just spit in your food, or in everyone's food, which will be blamed on you, and then people will stop inviting you to eat at their table. Gender is a horrible restaurant. But despite not being allowed to order for themselves, the vast majority of diners will end up enjoying the meal they are served. It will never even occur to them that they might have ordered something different if given the opportunity. What can they say? It's good food. That's why they keep coming here. They'll eat that same meal every day. They know what they like and they like what they were given. This is the food they were raised on and it tastes just like Mama made it. Coming to this restaurant is a long-held family tradition, and they are comforted by the familiarity. They yearn for the nostalgia. They find community among the other diners. It's also incredibly scary to try something new. What if it's not good? What if they hate how it tastes? What if they love how it tastes? And then they have to go through the whole process of upending their whole life and changing their dinner order. Oh my, no. Everyone knows that once you change your dinner order, there's no going back. You can't just try a new food, decide that it actually looked better on the plate, and then just not order it again. How silly of me. They say going back to your original meal would be proof that no one should be allowed to ever try new things. Unless, of course, they can commit to that thing forever. No, they expect us to sit down, shut up, and eat our specials compulsively. After all, they are tried and true fan favorites. The recipes handed down for generations. What's not to love? Gender is a horrible restaurant, and inexplicably, one of the specials is consistently more expensive while tasting about 7/10 as good, though that can vary depending on the color of your taste buds. In fact, for the majority of recorded history, every food critic of acclaim agreed that one special was legitimately better than the other. Of course, they had only actually tried their own special, but they were certain that the other special must be inherently inferior. That's why it's on the back of the menus that they made. There's also this systemic franchise-wide problem when eating this second-class special, wherein it regularly results in violent food poisoning. Everyone they make eat it has a story about getting at least a little bit sick from the food. And everybody's just used to this and continues to eat here, like Taco Bell. Some people express complaints about their substandard experience loudly to the table, but most are still too polite to formally lodge them with the management. Others think that tummy troubles are just the price they pay to eat here. Plus, the folks eating the front page special have never had more than a little bit of bad gas themselves, so not all the food can be bad. Half the diners have no scope for reference for systemic violent food poisoning. E. coli or salmonella. and that makes them unable or unwilling to empathize. Their personal experience tells them that the food here is great. Everyone else just needs a stronger stomach. Gender is a horrible restaurant, but no one wants to be the lone diner asking to speak to the manager. That's how you end up on a 10 Worst Karens YouTube compilation. So the food just keeps making over half the diners sick, and everyone just hopes that someday management will address the regularity of violent diarrhea as an issue. Is there a health inspector we could maybe speak to? Hey, health inspector, me too. Maybe we could collectively confront the restaurant together about it, and about the price inequality, and the substandard food quality, and also how the other diners are allowed and encouraged to fuck with your food, putting their hands in and on it, taking bites without permission, and then blaming your dinner for looking delicious. I mean, they say this is a nice family establishment, but a lot of folks can't even leave their drinks unattended. What's that about? Where's the security? I thought they hired specific staff to protect as well as serve, but so far those bad apples have managed to poison a lot of the food themselves, and even poison themselves in the process. It's a madhouse, truly. Gender is a horrible restaurant, but the recipes and the culture of the restaurant have been changed before. I understand that it was a rough battle. They used to make customers eat in different sections of the restaurant based on their assigned special and how they looked while eating it, as well as anyone needing accommodations and exceptions. Diverse diners have always had to fight for their right to sit at the same table. They had to form unions. They had to strike and boycott, sit in, stand up, act out, rebel, revolt, riot. Some of them starved to death in hunger strikes, protesting the millions more who died of foodborne illness. Astronomical, gastronomical violence. The restaurant did finally relent some, begrudgingly. Word was sent down from corporate. Appease the customer until the stock bounces back. The shareholders are pissed. So they made committees for raising awareness about DEI. That's diverse eaters inclusion, of course. The franchise owners hate it. They relegated it mostly to lip service, so the findings of the committee are only ever released as suggestions, never regulations, never protected fundamentally, constitutionally. The level of inclusion at any given restaurant has been highly dependent on the personal competency and ego of each individual restaurant manager. Without pressure from the customer to change, they know they stand to make the most money if everything stays exactly the same. The regulars never complain. Even here at our home franchise, there's still a lot of folks who save seat at the table for those who share the same meal. Gender is a horrible restaurant, and the diners whisper across the table to one another, critiquing each other's food with interest and judgment. For some reason, it's very important that everyone else know what's on your plate. They want to know how you eat your food. Mukbang voyeurism. There's even expectations about which utensil you'll use. And it's awkward because they'll ask crazy shit like, which one of you is the salad fork again? I hope you like public disclosure, because your dinner will be announced whenever it's put in front of you. They'll actually call you by your order instead of your name. It's supposed to be better that way, and they probably couldn't even pronouns it anyway. Sometimes they'll put you on the spot and ask you to prove it's your food. Come on, baby, raise that cloche and show us what you've got. Someone else at the table is bound to comment on how delicious your food looks. It feels like a full-time job, keeping other diners from drooling all over your plate. Gender is a horrible restaurant, and everyone you know and will ever know eats here. Literally every day. Your dad loves his special. He's boasting about his portion size while drowning it in ketchup and washing everything down with frightening quantities of beer. And boy, is he an acquired taste. Your mom accepts her special, but she would personally have made it with less sugar and more spice. It's okay that it's bland, though. She never finishes her whole plate, always trying to lose just a little bit more weight. Your aunt is unironically drinking wine from a fishbowl-sized glass, and your uncle doesn't understand that the waitress wasn't flirting with him. It's just her job to be nice. Your siblings are still blissfully young, and their specials come from the kids' menu. It's mostly oversimplified, hyper-processed, corn syrup-sweetened versions of the adult specials, cut into fun shapes. They'll throw a lot of it all over the place just to see what sticks and get more on themselves than in themselves, but they've got enthusiasm. Until, inevitably, an adult screams at them for being a public embarrassment. You can force them to dress up, but you still can't take them anywhere. Boy, do they miss the days when children were seen and not heard. I mean, how dare they play with their food? How dare they eke joy through creative exploration of their dinner? At least we can take solace that the kids' specials are always served with crayons in a cup and a placemat they can color. They will get birthday cake, and the exhausted employees will even bang pots and pans and chant royalty-free birthday bangers at them. A built-in social ritual counting down the years till they become adult customers and realize that no one really celebrates your continued existence anymore. It's time to grow up. Some kids decide themselves that they're too old for the crayons. Embarrassed by the banging of pans, it will seem really important to them that they eat off that adult menu. Other kids drag their feet. They don't feel ready. They've eaten that same simple meal their whole life, and change is terrifying. If they put it off too long, the restaurant will decide for them that they can no longer qualify for the kids' menu. They'll be forced to eat their first adult meal through indignant tears. Someday, they'll bring their own kids here and get weirdly emotional over broken crayons in a cup and how simple their dining experience used to be. Gender is a horrible restaurant, and some diners just don't hunger for it like they used to. Now barely picking at their plates, they just sort of push the food around, going through the motions. They take the leftovers home as baggage, and they swear they'll eat it later, but they let it go off in the fridge. No matter, it never tastes the same after it's been reheated. It's considered rude to let your special go to waste, and you'll feel guilty knowing that there are people starving for what you can no longer stomach. Sometimes they aren't even sure why they still keep eating here. Creatures of habit, I suppose. There's also the distinct lack of options. If not here, then where? Every public dining space is just a separate franchise location of this same, say it with me now, horrible restaurant. It's somehow the only restaurant in town, inescapable, and no one seems to find that odd. No one alive can remember a different restaurant, so surely they must never have existed. Whenever they find historical depictions of people publicly enjoying a meal, they assume they must have done so at a restaurant that functioned exactly like the one we have now. They can't even imagine a different dining experience, and it colors how they see the world and their scope of the restaurant's place within it. The restaurant controls which version of history it tells, which recipes get forgotten and erased. Gender is a horrible restaurant, and we all pay real adult money to eat here. How has capitalism tasted to you so far? This restaurant has never been free, but different meals cost different amounts, and some people get arbitrary unearned discounts that save them a bundle. Membership cards, coupon clippers, frequent diners points. Some folks thinks it's not so bad eating here every day. After all, the specials do slowly change with the times. Culinary tastes go in and out, and the food is even semi-seasonal. Any excuse to market pumpkin spice in the fall or add bacon to something. Some people make their special their entire personality. The management encourages it. They are very invested in all the free advertising, and this whole place only stays open as long as the customers keep coming. Gender is a horrible restaurant, and some people are heavily invested in there being no competition for consumers, because they supply the ingredients for the food. If the recipe for those specials changes too much, their products might not be as highly valued. It's really important to them that people keep eating whatever they are selling. They are always finding new ways to make us pay for food that we never ordered. The restaurant has changed hands thousands of times, but the bones of the place have always stayed the same. Why rebuild what you can just redecorate? Though the upholstery is definitely starting to get that musty smell. You know the one, the sudden olfactory awareness of the echoes of every butt that's ever sat in that chair. Don't get me started on the crumbs in the booths. I mean, they definitely used to let people smoke in here. The walls are greasy.
Ew.
The decor has not aged well, and the bubblegum under the table has begun to fossilize. Everyone who studies the restaurant industry closely objectively agrees that it's overdue for an overhaul. But those who've spent the most time here have made themselves at home. They are just too comfortable to abide any change at all. They are the regulars. The staff knows just how they take their order. They won't stand up from their booth long enough to even give it a deep clean. They receive preferential treatment, eat all their meals at this same table. The restaurant caters primarily to them. The taxes and tips that they paid built this place. So they shun those who question the concept of a restaurant where you don't get to choose your own food. They've never had to choose. The specials here were made with their palate in mind. Gender is a horrible restaurant, and some folks send their specials back and are brave enough to ask for the other one. They never would have ordered this special for themselves, and the other special sounds, looks, and feels so much more delicious. Finally, some good fucking food. The restaurant makes a weirdly big deal about this. The staff will argue with you before begrudgingly insisting that if they do let you eat the other special, you have to do so on different dishes from everyone else. They will even instruct other diners not to use the same public bathroom as you. I guess they think because they were lucky enough to be served the right meal the first time, their shit doesn't stink. It's ridiculous, and the tampons in there aren't even free. They will want everyone in the dining room to know that you sent back your assigned meal. They think changing your order is a dangerous, slippery slope that leads to the customer always being right. So the restaurant makes the process for getting the special you do want ridiculously difficult. You'll have to announce your order change to the whole dining room, debate and defend it to the table, and then take your order directly to the kitchen, prove that you deserve your food. They will insist that you make sure you aren't crazy for wanting it. And even then, they still make you do most of the cooking yourself. You have to get in that kitchen and build your own special, and God forbid it doesn't look close enough to the way the chef makes it. Everyone in that dining room is going to critique how closely your meal passes for what they think is the real thing. You'll have to walk back to your table past jeers, taunts, and whispered threats of violence. My God, you must really love that special to go through so much pain to get it. Then to top it all off, the bill once you finally do get to enjoy your food almost bankrupts you. Processing fees. Gender is a horrible restaurant. But then people started hearing through the grapevine about new meals. Turns out you can opt out of the specials altogether and order off the secret menu. There's a whole alphabet of ingredients in that kitchen. They could make any number of unique dishes. You just have to already know about them to ask for them. And they're not well advertised. It's insider knowledge. They'll freak out if you mention it around children. They think freedom of choice is contagious and hate granting autonomy. After all, children aren't real diners, only their parents can order for them. How on earth could a child know it tastes good? Sometimes, when you order off the secret menu, the wait staff has never even heard about your meal, and they don't think it's real. They will Google your order in front of you to make sure it's legit. The other diners at your table will be bewildered that you didn't want one of the specials. When you would try to explain that you don't like the steak or the chicken, someone will inevitably go, "So what, you want a chicken fried steak?" Because what else could there be? They can't comprehend that you don't want a mix of the two specials, but something different entirely. They do not smile when you say, "No thanks, I feel more like a pasta today." They genuinely don't believe there's other food out there. A lot of other diners will be embarrassed and noticeably cringe when you ask about or acknowledge the secret menu. Some of them will be your friends, and many of them will be your family. As if wanting to eat something new or different is an embarrassing and shameful defect of your taste buds. They don't personally know anyone who's eaten your favorite food before, and therefore it must be something that was made up on the internet. They insist you just don't understand how a gender restaurant works. You're supposed to take whatever food they give you, choke it down, and pay whatever it costs. Don't cause a fuss. Gender is a horrible restaurant, and some of us do cause a fuss. So many different kinds of fuss. All because we really just want to choose our own food. Some of us brought our own food from home, we made it ourselves, and we just want to eat it with everyone else who are always eating at this same restaurant. It's hard eating alone, and all we're really asking for is space at the table. Some of us carry giant purses so we can smuggle in our own snacks. We eat in secret when the staff isn't looking, our specials left untouched on our plates. The restaurant will be very unhappy that we ignored the no outside food rule. They will make us pay to eat it here, even though we made it ourselves. I know plenty of folks with picky palates, and safe foods are medical necessities, human rights even. I know this one couple who gets their assigned specials, but then they trade meals when it's just the two of them alone in the booth. I know others yet who eat both specials simultaneously, folks with a deep hunger for everything life has in store, adventurous eaters with hearty appetites. There's even some folks who eat exclusively from the dumpster out back. Freegans, Lady in the Tramping some spaghetti with a feral raccoon. Them's the real party animals. As for me, I think that gender is a horrible restaurant, and I've been dreaming of opening up my own place. A buffet, maybe, with a dining hall of immense proportion that accommodates every palate. Wheelchair-accessible booths, a shared public utility, pay what you can, buy donation, barter and trade accepted. Volunteers eat free and children eat freely. There's a kick-ass ball pit. Minimal vomit. Everyone washes their hands before they handle food. We wear masks, hairnets, and utilize sneeze guards to prevent communicable diseases. There are regulated food safety standards. No one ever dies of foodborne illness. We do not condone or excuse gastric violence. We accept that freedom of food is a human right, and we protect that freedom. Your meal will always be cooked properly with compassion. You can be the chef if you want. You can make your own food. You can serve yourself. You can help serve others. If all you can do is eat, just tell us what you're hungry for, and we'll show you what we've got. If you change your mind, it's no problem. Try something else. Fail again, fail better. We can help you figure out what tastes just right. We won't just get this bread, we'll seize it and share it amongst those who need it. You're encouraged to bring food to share, cultural dishes, your grandma's secret recipe, a bowl of fruit, jello, and marshmallows that you've confidently declared a salad. Whatever you think tastes good and gives you bliss. We feature recipes from all around the world, cooked by people who love their food and want to share it with others. Everyone is encouraged to try out new things, sample sizes, just to see if you like it. We know that diversifying your food is the best way to meet all your nutritional needs. No one is forced to eat anything they don't like. Your body, your choice. No one can touch, taste, poison, drug, bespoil, or otherwise interfere with your food. The food we eat and serve always grown in fertile and nourishing soil. Organic, free from pesticides and preservatives, safe, healthy. The diner will always be fed and cared for and celebrated. I guess I'm looking to build a community kitchen. And I want you to know that you are always welcome at my table. Join me there, no matter what's on your plate. Because, and I cannot stress this enough, gender has been a really horrible restaurant. And I don't want to eat here anymore.